morning. Today we're going to do describing distributions with numbers. That's chapter 2.2, and this will be day 1. Let me start this from the beginning. Okay, here we go. So there's 3 measures of center. The mean, that's x bar. So there's an x with a straight line on top right here. That's that is an abbreviation for the mean. The median, they either use M or X tilde. It's X with a squiggly line on top, and that's an abbreviation for the median. Or the mode, which does not have an abbreviation because we really don't use the mode past elementary school. The mean is the same thing as the average. The median is the midpoint, the number such that half the observations are above and half are below. So it's the 50% point. So if I were to have hold on a second, let me get my pen, have a line, the median is the point where 50% are less and 50% are more. Whereas the median is the average. It's not necessarily exactly 50-50. It depends on what the numbers are. Whereas the median is literally the middle, okay? Oh, look, I even did that 50-50 in my PowerPoint. I forgot about that. Okay, that's okay. We just did it twice. 50% less, 50% above. Okay, to find I kind of skipped it, but to find the mean, to find the average, you're going to add up all the numbers and divide by the number that you have. So let me just give you an example. I want to make sure everyone's on the same page here. So to find the mean, oops, forgot I shut it off. Okay, here we go. To find the mean, you're going to add up all your points. So let's say my point is A plus B plus point C. Well, and then I'm going to count. I have 1, 2, 3. So then I'm going to divide by 3. So I'm going to add them all up first, press enter on the calculator, and then divide by 3. Okay, so let's see. What do we have next? To find the median. Arrange all the observations in order from least to greatest. That's an important thing. You have to make all of your data points go from smallest to biggest. Eliminate a number from the beginning and a number from the end until you reach a middle. For example, in that data set 5, 8, 1, they're not in order. So before I can do anything, I have to rewrite those numbers in order from smallest to biggest. And now I'm going to eliminate a number from each side until I get to the middle. And there we go. There is my middle. That 8 is my median. If you have an odd number of observations, the median is the number of the middle. If you have an even number of observations, then the median is the average of the 2 numbers in the middle. So let's see, quartiles. We split the data into 4 sections. So, okay, one of my pet peeves is I go to Subway and I ask them to cut my sandwich in quarters because the baby likes to have a quarter of my sandwich and then I eat the other half and then we save a quarter for later. So to do quarters, we cut the sandwich in half and then I take each half and cut that in half. And then each section is 25%. So now I have, with 3 cuts, I have 4 pieces of sandwich. Okay, so that's what I mean when I say splits the data into 4 sections. Here we go. So that first cut splits half and half. And then I'm going to have another cut that splits it 25%. Okay, so I find my quartile 2, my median first, and then I find my quartile 1, and then I find my quartile 3. So first find the median of the first half, find the median of the second half, Okay, so let's do an example. First thing I have to do is write those numbers in order. I'm going to find the middle. So the 8 is my median. And now I'm going to come and I'm going to go from the beginning and the end and find the first quartile. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here, cross off. And then I've got that 11 as my quartile 3. Okay, so my 5-number summary is 5 numbers. The smallest, quartile 1, quartile 2, which is the same thing as the median, quartile 3, and then the maximum. They're always written in this order. So from our previous example, okay, we have our quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, and okay, so our minimum is 1, that's the first number. Our quartile 1 is 3, our median is 8, our quartile 3 is 11, and our maximum is 17. Apparently I did that twice. Okay, so a box and whiskers plot is a graphical representation of the 5-number summary. So there's my 5-number summary from the previous page, and I'm going to put those points on the number line. So the first, I'm going to put a dot at my median. Sorry, I said that wrong. At my minimum, I'm going to put a dot at my maximum. So that's first. And then I'm going to put a line at Q1, Q2, and Q3. And then I make horizontal lines to connect those lines. And then I make horizontal whiskers to connect the points. And now I have a box and whiskers. Okay, so here is the formula that I told you about that we would use for identifying outliers. An outlier, by definition, is an observation that is 1.5 times the interquartile range above Q3 or below Q1. So first thing I want to talk about is this interquartile range. The interquartile range is the biggest quartile, which would be Q3, minus the smallest quartile, which would be Q1, and that's going to be our interquartile range. So this is saying that I'm going to multiply that by 1.5, and then above Q3, so that means I'm going to take that number that I get when I multiply the interquartile range times 1.5, and I'm going to add it to Q3. And below means I'm going to subtract it from Q1. So let me write that down. So Q3 plus 1.5 times the IQR, and Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR. So if I have my data set, the numbers between these 2 points are going to be within our range of data. If they're outside of that range, so if right here, if it's smaller, this is going to be an outlier. Okay, over here, this point right here and this point right here is bigger than this. So these are both going to be outliers. And look at that. I already had that ready to go and nice, pretty, so that I don't have, I didn't have to write. Okay, so let's find the outlier. Use the given data and determine if any values are an outlier. So here's our data. Our Q1, Q2, and Q3 is over here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the IQR. Okay, so my IQR is Q3 minus Q1. So that's 11 minus 3, which is 8. So that's where this 8 right here came from. Okay, in this case, it's the same as Q2. They will not always be the same. So now I'm going to do 3 minus 1.5 times 8, and that gives me -9. And I'm going to do 1.5 plus, that doesn't say 1.5, that says 11 plus 1.5 times 8, and that's 23. And then I have to decide, do I have any numbers that are smaller than -9? I do not. Do I have any numbers that are bigger than 23? I do not. So since I don't have any numbers that are below -29 or above 23, this data set does not have any outliers. So let's look at some more examples. Okay, So let's go ahead and find my, oops, I just shut it off. I keep doing that. I want to change the color so I'm not writing in red. Ah, there it is. I'm going to write in blue. Okay, here we go. So the first thing we're going to do is find the 5-number summary. So the first number is 0, so that's what goes on this first line. The last number is 7. Oops. Didn't mean to make it so big. Let me erase that. Okay, 10. Here we go. Last number is 7, so we're going to write that down here. And then I'm going to check, are all the numbers in order? I should have checked that first, and they are. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put a point at 0, and I'm going to put a point at 7. All right, now I'm going to find the number that's in the middle. So I'm going to cross off 0 and 5 and 7 and 1 and 5. I'm going to cross off 2 and 5. I'm going to cross off 2 and 4, 2 and 3. Oops. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Okay, so let me get that 3 back. Okay, oh, it did it again. I won't erase it this time. So this 3 right here is my median. So I'm going to call that M. I could also abbreviate that X with a tilde on top with squiggly line. I can also abbreviate that Q sub 2. All of those are abbreviations for the median. The M, the X with the squiggly, or Q2. That 3 is going to go in this middle spot right here. The Q2 always goes in the middle. And then I come over here and I make a line at 3. Okay, so now I'm going to change my color and I'm going to find the Q1. So to find the Q1, I find the first half of the data. So 0, 2, 0, 2, and I don't know how to pause it. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. And okay, so I have 2 numbers that are in the middle. I have 1 and 2 that are in the middle. So I have to find the average between 1 and 2. Well, 1 plus 2 is 3, divided by 2 is 1.5. So I'm going to make that 1.5. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put a line at 1.5. Okay, and now we're going to go over here and find the Q3. So the Q3 crosses, 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 crosses. I have 2 numbers that are in the middle over here. So 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So my third quartile is 5. So I put a 5 right there. And now I draw a line. And then I'm going to come back and I am going to make horizontal lines to connect the verticals. And then I'll make a horizontal to make the whiskers. I'm not sure why my computer keeps making those really long lines. Okay, so there is your box and whiskers. Now let's go ahead and do the next one. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is figure out my max and min. So the max and min are still 0 and 7. So I'm going to put a point at 0 and I'm going to put a point at 7. And then I'm going to go and cross off beginning and end, beginning and end. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I have 2 numbers in the middle. I've got a 2 and a 3 in the middle. So I'm going to take those 2 numbers, 3 plus 2 is 5, and I'm going to divide that by 2 is 2.5. So my median is 2.5, and I'm going to come over here to 2.5, and I'm going to make a vertical line. Now, when I go to find my quartile 1, technically this 2 is not the median. So like up here, I didn't use 3 when I tried to find quartile 1. I just left it alone. But 2 is not my median, so I have to cross it off when I go to cross off to find my Q1. So now I've got 2 numbers in the middle for my Q1. So 1 plus 2 is 3, and 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. Okay, so I'm going to make a line over here at 1.5. And then we are going to go and find my Q2. So cross, 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 cross. I've got 2 numbers in the middle. So I'm going to find the average between 4 and 5. And the average between 4 and 5 is 4.5. So we're going to put 4.5 right here. Okay, and I'm going to come over here and put a vertical line at 4.5. And then we are going to connect the vertical lines. And then I'm going to connect my dots to make my whiskers. And that's it. There is my 5-number summary right here, these 5 numbers, and then I've got my box and whiskers. And there's 2 more examples. I'm going to skip doing those 2, but if you have questions, please come see me for tutorials. I'd be glad to do the last 2 right there. And now we're going to find some outliers. So this piece of data is exactly like what we have in the slide, so we're just going to find it. Okay, so determine if this set has any outliers. The first thing we have to decide is what the 5-number summary is. So my first number is 0, so I'm going to have a 0 here. My biggest number, if these numbers are in order, and they are, so my biggest number is 54. I don't know why that keeps doing that. It's bothering me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I will fix this. So I've got 0, and over here I've got 5, 4. Okay, so I'm going to come down here and I'm going to put a dot at 0, and I'm going to put a dot at 54. And now I'm going to find the median. So I'm going to cross off numbers from the beginning. How many did I cross off? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to come over here and cross off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's see, let's do 2 over here, and we'll do 2 over here. And I've got 2 numbers in the middle. So the middle between 21 and 22 is going to be 21 and a half. So this will be 21. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, why that keeps happening. $21 and a half. So then I'm going to come down here and put a line at 21 and a half, and I'm just going to kind of estimate where that is. And now I need to go and find the Q1. So if I'm looking for my Q1, we're going to start with this 21 and cross it off. So 21, I'll do 22, or sorry, 20 and 20, cross off 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to come this way and do 1, 2, 3. I have 2 numbers in the middle. The average between 19 and 19 is 19. So I'm going to put a 19 here, and I'm going to put a vertical line at 19. And then we're going to come over here, and we are going to cross off the 22 and the 54 and the 25 and the 45, 27 and 37, and I've got 2 numbers in the middle. So I'm going to take that 29 plus 33, and let's see, what do I get when I do 29 plus 33? 32, 62. Did I get that right? Yep, I got 62, okay. And then I'm finding the average, and I had 2 numbers that I added together, so I'm going to divide by 2. So 62 divided by 2 is going to give me 31. So I'm going to put a 31 right here, and then I'm going to put my line right here. Okay, now I'm going to hold off on the drawing the box plot because I might need to modify it. All right, so let's see. What do I have next? Okay, so now I'm going to determine if I have an outlier. So the first thing I have to do to determine if I have an outlier is find my IQR. So the IQR is my Q3 minus my Q1. So Q3 is this 31, so I'm going to do 31 minus, and then I'm going to do 31, and then 19 is my Q1. Okay, so we're going to do 31 minus 19, and that's going to give me 12. So my IQR is 12. So now to figure out if I have an outlier, I'm going to take my Q1, which is 19, and I'm going to subtract 1.5 times 12. Okay, so I'm going to take 12 and multiply by 1.5, and that gives me 18. So then 19 minus 18 is going to give me 1. Okay, do I have any numbers that are less than 1? I need to come up here and erase so I can see my points there. I kind of wrote, yep, okay, right here, I've got a point. is 0. Is this 0 right here less than 1? It is. That makes 0 an outlier. So 0 is going to be an outlier, which means I'm going to leave that dot there, but then I'm going to modify the box plot. My next smallest number is 16, so I'm going to put a point at 16 and draw the line to the first box right here. So this dot right there, when it's not connected to this line, means that this 0 was an outlier. Now I'm going to come over here and do the same thing for Q3. So my Q3 was 31, and then I'm going to add 1.5 times 12. Okay, so let's see, 1.5 times 12 was 18. So 31 plus 18 is going to give me 49. Do I have any data points that are bigger than 49? Okay, this one says 45, this one says 54. Yes, 54 is bigger than 49, so it is too an outlier. So here's my 54 point. I'm going to leave that there, but then my next smallest number is 45, so I'm going to put a point at 45, and that's what I'm going to connect for my whiskers, and then make my box. And now I have my box and whiskers. This point is not connected, means it's an outlier. This 54 is not connected, that means that's an outlier. And now I have my modified box plot, and I've identified 0 and 54 as my outliers. Okay, and there's another example. I'm going to use that example in the practice problem, so if you have questions, please come see me. And another one. And then practice problems, I'm going to use the ones that I didn't do from the notes in the practice problems. So if you have questions, please come see me for tutorials. And then these are the 4 problems that I'm going to use to make these practice problems page. All right, thanks guys. Have a good day.